Yeah, we've looked at obviously after every game we'll do our analysis on it, and no game's any different. We'll always look back on that game. We'll look at what we did well and what we didn't do too well. So I think it's a common feature in how we work and how we look back and break down games. So I think that's always the way we're going to do it. So it's good. It's positive.
Yeah, I think it was a bit surprising some at the scoreline, but is it a case of that's going to happen? We're not going to win 5-0 every week.
Yeah, I think we've got to have the realisation with the boys that we're not going to win by 4s and 5s every week. Teams are going to set up in a sort of low block defence, which Dumbarton did, which is fine. We'll try and exploit that other ways, and I think we'll never deviate from our style and how we want to play. And we just need to be a bit more patient and probably take a bit more care. I think we've been a bit slack in our passing in the last couple of weeks, which we can all admit. But it's just a case of when teams do set up in that low block, it's just a case of us being patient and waiting. And although we're moving it quick, if that makes sense, it's just a case of waiting until they lose concentration or tire later in the game, and then we'll get goals. So I think we know that teams are going to do that. So we'll just need to be ready for it.
St Johnstone tomorrow night. Do you prepare for a game like that any differently?
No, I mean, respectfully to St Johnstone, this is just another game for us. Another game back home where we're going to play in front of a great support, as always. Home and away, the supporters are first class, so it's just another game for us and another game that we want to try and build momentum, another game that we want to try and get back on track, playing the way that we know we can. And we know that as individuals, if we can maintain top standards and top levels, that we're going to be hard to stop. So I think the mindset and the focus is purely on continuing that momentum and winning games.
Is this a chance for you to prove that you are better than the Championship and you can compete?
No, I don't think there's any proving in the game tomorrow night. We're in the Championship just now, and the Premiership is the Premiership. So until we get back there, we're just going to be focused on what we can do, and we work game by game. That's exactly as I said at the start there. We play the game, we look back on it, we train, and then we play a game, and that's just the process we go through. And as I said there, with the greatest of respect to St Johnstone, we are treating this like any other game, and a game in which we want to go out there and do well, please our fans and send them home happy.
Since you went down the divisions, you've played a number of teams in the top flight with mixed results. Do you feel that this is maybe the best prepared that a Rangers team has been to face a top division team since Rangers went down the divisions?
I think, in fairness, we've always been prepared, even the first stage when we were in the third division. I think we obviously came up against Dundee United, Inverness, Motherwell that period, and I think we prepared great for the games. Although we won two of them, we won one of them that I'm talking about, and we obviously lost two of them. So I think the preparations have always been good, as they were every game. There's never been a time I've been at this club for a game under any manager that we've not prepared right. The preparations have always been great, and in terms of the gulf between playing a higher standard or a higher level of opponent. And again, we're looking forward to tomorrow night, obviously. But again, for us, it's just another game that we want to go out, continue momentum, and keep learning as a squad and keep getting better.
Is the team though perhaps better than it ever has been since all the problems with the club? In terms of getting, are you as close to that level, that Premier League level, maybe as you have been?
No, I think we're confident just now. We've got that momentum. 11 wins for 11, so certainly throughout the squad and around the place, the fans, the club, we're certainly going into the game with a good bit of momentum. I'm not quite sure how the form's been going into these games where it's been playing against a Premier League opponent. I can't quite recall what the form was going into these games in the past, but certainly now we've got that momentum. We're all feeling good, we're all training well, and we're looking forward to the game.
Reaching the semi-finals of this tournament last year, is it fair enough to suggest that you feel that you're good enough to win it?
Yeah, we're confident. We want to. Every game at Rangers, you're obviously tested. You're tested as an individual and obviously as a team, and that's every game. Whether it's a game in our league, a game against a third division opponent, or a game against a Premier League opponent, we're always judged. We always want to do well, and we always want to win every game we go to, whether that's a league game or whether it's a cup game. So, as I keep stressing, tomorrow's just another game for us. And a game that we want to send our fans home happy, advance and go as far as we can in the competition.
I know you're saying you don't have anything to prove in terms of playing against Premiership opposition, but how much will it be an indication as to how small the gap is now to Rangers being the Premiership standard?
I think it's difficult because it's difficult in just this one game, as we've just said there, that we've got aspirations to win every single game. So who knows, we might find out later on in this cup if all goes well, obviously. So I think these questions are obviously, these can be answered probably later on in a tournament. But for us, it doesn't really matter the opponent, the environment, the setup, whatever stadium, whatever pitch we're playing on. We're ready for any opponent. We'll train and make sure that we can be the best we can be as Rangers, and make sure that we're ready for any opponent, as I said, in any league. So we're more than ready for that.
The team has changed drastically since you played St Johnstone last season, but do you take anything from that game? Do you look back on it at all?
No, not really, to be honest. As you say, because there's been that much change. I think that's, even when you look back at previous league games in the Championship, it's difficult to gauge because we are a completely different side, and amongst other opposition. Of course, we respect opponents, and rightfully so. There's a couple of St Johnstone players that are due respect, but that's obviously where it ends. We pretty much focus on what we are now. We don't really want to do too much looking back. I mean, I've took that mindset on myself as well. Maybe when I've stood before you before, I've been quite negative, or obviously quite honest, but quite negative on myself and my teammates. So I'm going to take that stance. We'll always look forward here. We're aware that we beat them last year, but completely different setup, completely different style of play, completely different player. So we're looking forward to the game and going out there and trying to do our best.
Come on, cheers.